Good evening, and welcome to Today. I consider myself, the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Welcome to your life, Oscar B. Goodman. Beautiful as we all know, our shy and reserved baby barrister greeted the world on July 26th, 51 years ago in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Born to Laura, a then budding artist, and Alan Goodman, an attorney, they had great hopes for their firstborn. Here's a hint that the brilliant attorney had arrived. Oscar in his briefs. Dad was quick to give Oscar his fatherly advice. To study law? Hardly. No doubt to bet on the Chicago Black Sox. Interestingly enough, Oscar really was related to the Marx Brothers. No, not Harpo. Strange, though, isn't it, that our famous mouthpiece should so resemble the mute. Even at an early age, Oscar seemed to identify with the underdogs. Here, at a little spot on Salmon Lake at Camp Arcadia in Maine, our Oscar poses with friends who were no doubt getting ready to enter their first conspiracy. At Oscar's bar mitzvah, he delivered his first closing arguments, and I believe the rabbi was found not guilty. Then after, characteristically complaining about his gifts, Oscar got his first taste of public adulation. No doubt this probably prompted his great love for acting, which he still gets to practice in the courtroom. And off to college, to Haverford, where Oscar majored in liberal liquid libations, which led to Carolyn. After the wedding, the little couple settled into domesticity in Philadelphia, so Oscar could learn to earn. Carolyn had hoped not to work too long. The University of Pennsylvania Law School saw fit to graduate our budding barrister in 1964. An automatic genius? Not Oscar. 70.1 his first year, and complaining all the way through, but he had made it. His first real love, and the one he always brags about, is sports and athletic prowess. And Oscar has tried them all, sadly mastering none. Oh, he talks a good game, but his best effort is through the Caesars Palace Sportsbook, or as an Olympic quality channel changer. Actually, I take it back. Oscar works out vigorously once a year for 10 days in Hawaii, when he turns into the epitome of virility and health. His modeling career certainly is on the rise. One year, the boys even talked him into going scuba diving. He complained all about his claustrophobia. He went down kicking and screaming, but came up bragging about his exceptional underwater talent. And, as with every other sport, Oscar was a natural. Above all, Oscar is a pure family man. The children are the very heart and soul of his life. He and I are both very proud of this photo. Probably because it's the first and only time that the four children sat quietly without pinching, biting, or otherwise causing bodily harm to each other. And second, because all four of our children, Oscar Jr., Ross, Eric, and Kara, have brought Oscar and me the greatest amount of joy. They have been the inspiration that has helped Oscar Goodman reach the level of greatness that we are here celebrating tonight. The seeds of greatness were planted in 1964 when Oscar opened his original Las Vegas law firm with Ian Ross, Jerry Snyder, and Richard Bryan. Oscar eventually worked with all the great Nevada politicians. Of course, they all had to deny they ever knew Oscar Goodman to get elected. In fact, if they ever really needed a boost in their campaigns, they just asked Oscar to come out in support of their opponents. It was a sure-fired political kiss of death. Anyway, the opening of Oscar's practice began an exciting and unbelievable era in his life. Let Oscar take it from there.
You resent the term mob mouthpiece?
No, I don't resent it. As I've often said, if I am the mob mouthpiece, then it assumes there's a mob, and I don't know about that. But if I'm a mouthpiece, that's what I'm supposed to be. I speak for the downtrodden. I speak for the oppressed. Sometimes they're rich, sometimes they're poor, sometimes they're black, white, doesn't matter to me. They're people who are accused of crime. They're presumed innocent in this country, thank God. And I will do everything within my power to speak on their behalf. I'm very bullish on Las Vegas and on Nevada. I think it is probably about the worst thing that a state can do to an individual, because what the state does is that they create an outlaw.
Why would I like the indictment dismissed? I would have really earned my fee then. What could I tell you?
Are you going to?
Oscar. Everybody wants an Oscar, especially when they're in trouble.
Oscar, I'm here. I found out the other day that one of the main reasons why I couldn't come to your roast tonight is that I've been accused of hanging around with unsavory characters. This disturbed me. So what I did do, I went down to the gaming control board, and I wanted to know who were these unsavory characters that I hung around with. Much to my demise, I found out it was you.
Congratulations, Oscar, on 25 years in practice. I know it was 22 years ago I started with you as your first associate. If you only paid me a little more money, I might still be with you instead of being a judge today. On the other hand, I know of your devotion to hard work, other people's hard work. I can remember while you were out gallivanting to Miami and to LA and to New York, you left Linda and I back in the office to do the pleadings and get out the billings that kept you financed in your travels. On the other hand, I also know that beyond your devotion to the law is your devotion to your family. So I want to wish you and your beautiful bride, Carolyn, and all your children a very wonderful anniversary, and wish 25 more years for you of success. Best wishes.
My experience with Oscar Goodman was that I needed a lawyer. I came to Las Vegas to hire him. Went to a flower shop. His office was above a flower shop at the last room, about a 2x4 room with books all over the floor and everything. So I hired him and brought him back to Kansas City to defend me. When we got there, and when he got there and the case started, the judge ruled that he couldn't try the case because he was a too high-priced lawyer, had too good a reputation as a great lawyer. So that I had to hire another local lawyer, and Oscar had to whisper to him to defend me. The other lawyer did all the work, and Oscar wound up coming back home, and I've been fooling with him since 1971, and I've yet to get him to do anything for me. I have to go through Linda Rogers to get everything. His secretary does everything I want. I pay him, and I get her.
There's one thing was so funny one day. I went to the grand jury in the federal building. I took the fifth. I come downstairs. All of a sudden, I bump into Oscar. I tell Oscar, I took the fifth. He said, how could you take the fifth? You took 2.5. I said, no, Oscar, I took the fifth. And he let everybody laugh. What's the joke?
I recall the last case we had together. I was the DA and you were the defense counsel. A double homicide out in Boulder City. You had an ex-police officer, a client, and I did my best to keep in here in Nevada. You got him on bail, and I told you he'd never go to trial if he went back to New Jersey. You paraded his brothers in, a police captain, a fire chief, a legislator, and a lawyer. They all vouched for him, and you all promised that he'd come back, especially you, Oscar. 2 years later, when I came on the bench, he had not come back. 1 year later, he died. Oscar, you lied.
I remember about 4 years ago when the San Francisco 49ers, they won their division already and they did not need the last game. And I had lunch with Oscar and he was telling me about what a sure bet that is and that Minnesota Vikings going to win this game with no any problem, that supposedly the quarterback is going to, from the San Francisco, the quarterback is going to play like a running back, the running back is going to play like a receiver. And he said about making a big bet, what a beautiful bet that is. Well, the Vikings scored, I believe, the first field goal, and afterward we ended up losing 59-3 the game.
Remember that night you invited me out? Just you and me at McDonald's, candlelight dinner. You ordered a hamburger, and I ordered a milkshake. And we talked about the high cost of food. Oscar, that dinner cost us $1.50. Boy, were you cheap.
Mr. Goodman and I were first introduced through mutual friends while I was vacationing in Nevada. He was cited as being a modernized Clarence Darrow. Before I had time to be impressed, Oscar proceeded to make me an offer that I couldn't refuse. A quick glance at his oversized cowboy boots eliminated any thoughts of non-consent. Shortly thereafter, an Arnold Schwarzenegger-type henchman was needed to carry his retainer fee. All those American pesos. As of yet, I still haven't recovered from the shock. Congratulations. Congratulations and good luck, my friend. I love you.
Anytime I always called Linda, she always took my number and said, Oscar will call you back. One thing about you, Oscar, you never give anybody a call back. Good luck, Oscar.
Oscar goes into the office with the assistant DA, and they're in there for like an hour, and I'm beginning to get very nervous. Finally, Oscar comes out, and he's breaking up. He's laughing. Here's what happened. They had us plead guilty, not to a misdemeanor. They had us plead guilty to a disorderly conduct charge, allowing an unleashed and unmuzzled dog to walk the streets of Mineola, New York. That's my story.
Do you remember that time you were elected president of the temple? And you looked into the crowd, and I was smiling. And when you came off the stage, you said to me, you felt very good because I was smiling. And that made you feel good. Well, Oscar, I felt good too that you were elected president of the temple. I appreciate our friendship for all these years, and through all the crises you've helped me through. Oscar, you know that bill I owe you? I decided not to pay.
Hello, Oscar. This is James Shannon, a.k.a. you-know-who, calling you from the belly of the beast here. Make that the bowels of the beast here on Old Death Row. Frankly, Oscar, on the whole, I'd rather be in Philadelphia or Tel Aviv without a gas mask. It's been a pleasure knowing you these last 3.5 years, even though it started on Friday the 13th with you telling me bail was out of the question. Let me say, in spite of the bad seat I have for this occasion, I consider myself fortunate knowing you and wish to congratulate you on what can only be considered halftime in a great career. Congratulations on all your accomplishments to present, and I'm sure there'll be many, many more forthcoming, especially from one who was a panther at cross-examination and a maestro of motions, who can make prosecutors cringe and defendants cheer. For a man who truly realizes that judges are appointed, not anointed. You've given me great confidence knowing you're in my corner. And that makes this country great, the fact that every man's entitled to the best defense money can buy. And baby, you're it. So once again, congratulations, Oscar. I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Ringside. Love and happiness, James. P.S. Help!
Hello, Oscar. I just wanted to congratulate you on your 25 years of making life miserable for prosecutors everywhere. And it's always a pleasure having you on a show of mine. I remember the time you made the statement that there was no mafia, and I thought that was an interesting thing to say on television. Of course, there is no television. But anyway, nice to see you. I hope you continue to reign as successfully as you're doing now. And don't ever forget that once you appeared on a show of mine and it was canceled the same day. What can we learn from this? Congratulations.
A number of years ago, sitting with Oscar, and listening to him complain how he lost money on the commodities market. He had bought pork bellies. And I told him then, Oscar, what is a nice Jewish boy like you doing buying pork bellies? Looks like God punished you. Then a few years later, an FBI agent comes up to Oscar's office wired up trying to trap him. Well, he didn't trap him, but the FBI agent's name was Bacon. Oscar, just goes to show you, you better stay away from all pork products.
I first met Oscar on December 12th, 1970, when we were raiding the Rose Bowl. And Oscar at that time was representing Lefty Rosenthal, who was operating the Rose Bowl Sportsbook. On that date, an individual was at the door with a pair of cut-off jeans and a flowery type Hawaiian shirt demanding entry. As I went to the door, he stated his name was Oscar Goodman, and he wanted in. I would not allow him in at that time, stating that we were raiding the Rose Bowl and he had no business there. Eventually, he was allowed in, and from that day on, when Oscar became famous in representing various individuals in wiretapping cases. And I know one day, I told Oscar, I said, you have a lot to thank the FBI for, and he said, what? I said, the FBI made you famous and made you a millionaire.
The millions upon millions of dollars that you've charged me over the years at a winning percentage rate of 1.53 may appear to be imbalanced, but nonetheless, I wouldn't want it any other way. You have been a memorable and super friend. Enjoy the party.
Oscar, you're a great man. I wish you all the best, and I hope they don't smoke you too much tonight. Thank you, take care, and score a knockout.
I want you to know that I was told to come here and say all the terrible things that I could think of you. Oscar, they told me to blast you. They told me to talk about you like dirt. And I did my homework, but I couldn't think of anything bad to say, Oscar. I think you're a phenomenal lawyer. I think you're a loving father. I think you're a wonderful husband. And I think you're an incredible human being. Oscar, we all love you very, very much. Congratulations on your 25th year. Mazel tov.
Needless to say, I wish I could be there tonight to honor not only my lawyer, but also my good friend Oscar Goodman. There are a lot of things I could say about Oscar that would be humorous, but I'll leave that to the people there tonight. I just wanted to say that if it wasn't for my friend Oscar, the awesome power of the federal government would have steamrolled me right into the death house. Without Oscar on my side, the scenario that the government played out for me would have been fulfilled. His integrity and honesty cannot be equaled in his profession. Thank you, Oscar, for my life.
Of course, I'm in my 22nd year with you. There was probably, well, maybe one good one. How many secretaries have a job where you walk into restaurants and bars and you're introduced to people you don't know as secretary to organized crime? People are whispering at you. You go home at night and in your mailbox you find wiretap inventories from the FBI where you've been bugged on your home telephone. You go to the office and you've been bugged on your office telephone. How many secretaries have gotten grand jury subpoenas from the U.S. Department of Justice Strike Force investigating organized crime in the Midwest? I mean, it's been incredible. There were some fringe benefits. I remember probably during the first year I worked for you, you told me that I never had to worry about any harm coming to me that no one would dare. That happened once, you were right, I have to admit, one time that happened. I remember I went into a bar one night, or a cocktail lounge after work, and I was sitting next to this nice man. He was a general contractor or something. Very nice man. We were talking. I went away from the table, and I came back, and his friend had disappeared, and he said, "Did you know my friend left?" And he said, "I should stay away from you. That's your organized crime." He says, "How many secretaries do you see in here wearing a mink coat?" That sums up everything, but to tell you the truth, I wouldn't give up 1 minute of it. I've enjoyed all of it.
Oscar Goodman, who has been called a mouthpiece for the mob, practices law here in Las Vegas, the town that organized crime helped put on the map. And it's money from organized crime, in addition to drug money, money used for legal fees that the government is after. And some of that, the government says, has gone to pay Oscar Goodman, whose lavish offices have been dubbed by law enforcement people the house the mob built.
Here's my favorite room. This is referred to as the Godfather's room by some members of law enforcement.
Over a period of 2 decades, Goodman has defended people like the late Meyer Lansky, the late Nick Civella, and Anthony Spilatro, men the FBI identifies as leaders of the mob. Are you a mob lawyer?
What mob?
Oscar, to you and all of your mob friends, congratulations on tonight's sit-down.
When we were two, we always knew. We be doing a rap. For you know who. Oscar. He's our man. From the number one team. In the land. To Oscar. Who's everyone's fan. To the number one lawyer. From the number one team.
Hey, who in the hell is Oscar?
Welcome, everybody, to the house that my law enforcement friends have always characterized as the house that crime built. Be assured of one thing, the only way this office was built was with my hard work, notwithstanding anything that Steve or David might tell you. The real boss of the office is up here, my dear wife Carolyn, whose right eye focuses on my desk at all times when she whispers to me, "Earn," and I'm just the second most important thing in the office is taking care of Killer and Kilo, and nobody has immunity from not doing their job as far as they're concerned, and if they don't do what they're supposed to do, they too could end up in Lake Mead. All right, now we're here for a good time, and my liver is beginning to quiver, so let's go on with the show.
Popularity. I was the most popular guy in Las Vegas for 7 minutes. Oh my God!
What this has done to my reputation. Don't do this around him. Here, please. Stop it. I wish I had a good time.
Hi there. Oh my God.
Oscar and Carolyn, I love you.
I've known Oscar Goodman since he got out of law school, and we've been good friends. He never told me how to be sheriff, and I never told him how to act as an attorney. And I wish him good luck in the future.
Oscar, we're just here to have a good time and wish you well. Thanks a lot for inviting us.
This is the happiest moment. I've never seen my father happier than he is right now. It's unbelievable. It's wonderful. He deserves it all.
We love you.
We love you.
You're our greatest fan. And our greatest father.
Yeah,